Words don't come easy. Don't come easy to me. I think there's a song that goes like that. Are you good at communicating? Can you get your point across? Have you ever been frustrated that you can't get your point across? And how do you become a superb communicator? How do you actually share your message with other people effectively so they get it, maybe so they don't argue, or maybe so they do, maybe you want to create an argument. How do you make sure that whatever you've got to say gets across? And something I've been doing all of my life, simply because as an exercise professional, I really want people to be healthy, fit and strong. So I'm constantly learning, educating, training, getting more information. But my goal is to make that technical, tough to understand information easy to understand for the people that come into my life, whether it's my clients or my students at the Max International Colleges. So I had to learn how to be a great communicator. I'm very privileged because I come from a family of people that love to talk. My mother's German and very European with her expression, arms and whole body language. And my father could speak 7 languages fluently, which of course means that he has an effective way to communicate because he's got different languages to communicate in. But he could also sing, so he used his voice and his languages to communicate effectively. I'm sharing that with you because is it possible that as humans we all have different ways that we like to be communicated with? And could communication be, how do I find out how the other person likes to learn or listen? So some people listen, some people watch, some people do, some people touch, some people smell, some people they've got to feel it. So there's all different ways to get a message across. So there's my first question. When you come in contact with somebody or a group of people, is it possible that you need to find out what their learning style is and communicate with them in that style? And if you're talking to a group of people, is it possible that you need to keep swapping and changing? So did you hear that? Can you feel it? Did you see that? What do you think about that? Could you smell that? How does that feel to you? So if with a group of people, obviously you need to have lots of different communication styles. But the really cool thing about that, is that if we put all different communication styles, we call it accelerated learning. So my learning style, for example, is I learn from smell. And I really like to listen. I really learn effectively by listening. So if I can smell and listen at the same time, I get accelerated learning. But if I smell, listen, touch, taste, see and do, I learn even faster. So if you're a teacher, for example, and I'm sure that you know this already, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could get to every communication style for every student, for everybody that we're talking to? But wouldn't it be nice if we could accelerate that learning by giving people all different styles to learn with? Yay, yay, yay. The next really important thing, and I think this is the most important, whether you're talking to one person, 100 people or 100,000 people, do we tell people what to do? Or should we stimulate them to think for themselves? And that's a great quote that we have here at the Max Colleges. I never want to tell somebody what to think or what to do. I would love people to think about thinking for themselves, doing for themselves. How do I make this work for me? What do I have to do to put this into practice in my life so that it works for me, rather than that expert told me what to do? So, of course, there's that great question, which is, are you telling or are you asking? If I tell somebody something, they may or may not agree with me. And it might be 50%, might be 80-20, who knows? It could be none. The person you're talking to might completely disagree with everything that you're saying. But if you don't say anything, if you ask questions instead, is it possible that the person will then think for themselves? And there's a really cool side note for that. If you're asking questions rather than telling, is it possible that you'll have less argument? Because somebody could say, oh, you're just talking rubbish. But you didn't actually talk anything. You asked a question. So if the question is, how do you feel about this? Tell me about you, versus you should feel this and I already know you. It's one of those very poor communication expressions where we say, I understand how you feel. Well, that's just not true, is it? How could you possibly understand how somebody feels? I definitely can't. I'm going to give you an example for that. I was managing a health club in Brisbane, Australia, and a lady came to the health club. She had attempted to come this was the 9th time. She'd left her house, went home again, got to the first traffic light, went home again, got to the car park, went home again. She was very uncomfortable about coming to a health club to come to the gym. And when she went in to have her first initial consultation at the health club that she was scared to death of coming to, she went in to chat to the exercise professional that I put with her, thinking that they would have a great relationship, because the exercise professional that I put her with was not your typical skinny mini. She wasn't ripped and shredded and didn't look. She was just a normal looking girl, and this is very poor on my part, and this is why I want please learn from my mistakes. So this beautiful woman who was 120 kilos and 5 foot tall, that was one of the reasons why going to a health club was very uncomfortable. If you can picture that. She was a very big lady who was very short, so she very uncomfortable coming to the gym. And the personal trainer, and I would like to say exercise professional, but I can't now because professionals wouldn't communicate this way, said to this beautiful woman, "I completely understand how you feel because I'm overweight too." I feel very uncomfortable sharing that with you. Just consider this. If you're 120 kilos and you meet somebody that's about 80, 85 kilos, what is that? It's probably your dream. If you're 150 kilos and you could get down to 85 kilos, it's probably what you're dreaming about. And this is the beautiful thing about this story. That woman came out of the office, knocked on my office door. I was the manager of the health club. She said, "Get me out of the room with that stupid girl." I said, "Please share with me what happened." She said, "That girl thinks she understands how I feel. How could she possibly understand how I feel? I'm a big girl, she's a skinny mini." Isn't that interesting? And that's why I use that expression, because that's what she said to me. The second example is this. I had a lady share with me. I was a personal exercise coach at the time. And she shared with me that her mother had died of Alzheimer's. And I said, stupidly, "I completely understand how you feel because my father died of Alzheimer's." And again, this woman absolutely hammered me. She nailed me, and I'm so thankful for it. She got really angry with me, and she said, "How dare you say you understand how I feel? The relationship between a father and a daughter is completely different to a mother and a daughter. You've got no idea how I feel." And she was exactly right. So I'm using this as an example. Rather than say to somebody, "I completely understand how you feel," which I hope you never ever say ever again. But what about this? "I don't understand, but I want to. Please talk to me." So now you're opening yourself up for that person to be open and honest with you. "I don't understand how you feel, but I want to, so please talk to me." And then if everything after that, and this is just a simple exercise, I've been practicing this, training this, aiming to do this every single day of my life since I learned how to do it. And I think I was about 16 or 17 at the time. And I still screw it up every day. But it goes like this. Every time you're about to make a statement, could it be a good idea to slow down and think to yourself, how can I turn this statement into a question? How can I make this person be, technically a question is, the human brain's designed to do that, yeah? Since we learned how to talk, we were told if somebody asks you a question, you need to answer the question. So if you ask somebody a question, their brain is programmed to answer the question. But then they're coming up with the answer, you're not doing the telling. And I share this with passion and enthusiasm. And again, I hope you learn from my mistakes, because when I started putting this into practice, and I still practice it every day, and every time I have a conversation with somebody, including this conversation I'm having with you now, I will ask myself this question. Did I ask enough questions? Were there statements that I could have turned into a question? And if I'm telling people what to do or I'm making statements, is it possible that I'm going to offend people, hurt people, annoy people, and people will disagree with me? Because everybody's got a right to their own opinion. And that's simply put this way, rather than me giving somebody my opinion, wouldn't it be better in superb communication to ask for their opinion? And it might even go like this. This is my opinion, but it's only my opinion. What do you think? What's your opinion? Straight away cuts out any controversial argument, because you're already sharing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not dictating what I think is true. I'm not telling you to believe what I believe. I'm just sharing with you that this is my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion. And that's a beautiful thing about superb communication. Shouldn't it be a two-way thing? Two people genuinely interested in each other. Wouldn't that be awesome if we had a bit more of that going on, rather than one person doing all the talking, the other person either listening or not listening at all, because the other person's just talking and talking and talking. Wouldn't it be nice if we had relationships with people where it was a two-way, I'm really interested in you. You're really interested in me. Let's ask each other questions and let's listen to the answers. And that's the next part of superb communication, which seems to have been forgotten or never learnt at all. And I'd love you to consider that this could work. Imagine this. Lean forward, maintain eye contact, open body language, and actively listen. When somebody's talking to you, imagine how that would feel. You're having a conversation with somebody, they're eye contacting you, they're leaning forward, which of course shows that they're genuinely interested. They've got open body language, which means they're not closed off to what you've got to say, and they're not interrupting. Imagine having a conversation like that. How would that be? How awesome would it be? Can you remember the last time you had a conversation like that, where you could talk uninterrupted, nobody passed their opinion, made judgment, told you what to do? They just leant forward, maintained eye contact, open body language, and actively listened. I get excited when I think about it. How about you? Wouldn't it be nice if you wanted to get your point across? So first of all, I always ask, why do you need to share your opinion with other people? Why is it important for people to believe the same thing that you do? So that's the first question. The second thing is, if you really think that you've got a message that needs to be shared and you really want to tell people your message, could it be a great idea to just consider the possibility that if you ask a question and get the person to answer the question rather than you tell them what to do, that you might have a better communication, the whole thing might flow more smoothly, you might build a better relationship. And is it possible that if you've got a relationship with somebody where they trust you and they like you, that they're more likely to listen to you than if you just tell them what to do? So this is just an awkward, uncomfortable but fun example, and we laugh about it at our house all the time. K-Man and I were at a coffee shop on the Gold Coast, and K-Man was having fruit salad. And a lady came up to our table. We didn't know her, and she screamed at him, literally, very loudly in the cafe, so much that people turned around, and said, "Don't eat bananas, they're really bad for skin." We laugh about it because it was such a funny experience. Can you imagine that in itself is funny? Now, first of all, she didn't know him. Second, she doesn't know why he was eating bananas. Third, K-Man is an Irish guy, both parents Irish. He was brought up in New Guinea, so he's been sunburned over and over and over and over all of his childhood in very hot temperatures. So he's got some challenges with his skin. I'm definitely sure it hasn't got a lot to do with bananas. But that lady wouldn't know that. Now, it turned out she was a naturopath. She passionately believed that bananas are bad for your skin, and she wanted to stop him from hurting himself. So her intentions were good. But is that a way to build a relationship? Don't do that, it's bad for you. If she really wanted to help him with his skin, if that was really her outcome, then how about, "Hi, my name is, I'm a naturopath. I noticed that you've got really interesting skin, and skin's something that I study. Could you share with me what challenges you've had with your skin in the past? Because as a naturopath, I might be able to help you. Are you open to some help from a naturopath so you can have healthy skin?" That's a question. It builds a relationship. And if you yell and scream at somebody and tell them your opinion straight away, is it possible that the relationship might not even get started, let alone stop? Communication is everything when it comes to relationships with your children, with your partner, with everybody in your life. Could it be a really good idea to just consider perhaps that if you want to build a relationship with somebody, learn their learning style, ask lots of questions, be genuinely interested in the answer, lean forward, maintain eye contact, open body language, and actively listen. And the reason that I can rattle those off so simply and easily is because I've been practicing communication all of my life. And again, that's my last question. If you practice every day, and will you screw it up? Hell yes. Have I screwed up a million times? Hell yes. But because I want to get better, and because I am constantly learning, I'll give you another example. You've obviously heard that communication, there's a little bit of it that's words, there's a little bit that's body language, face intonation and facial expressions and voice intonation. But it's been suggested by the experts that most of our communication is who we really are. So we can say the right thing and we can say it in the right way, but if we don't have the right intention, then people will pick up on that. And I'm sure you've had that experience where somebody said all the right things and they've even said it in the right way. They might be passionate and enthusiastic, but you've walked away and said, that person was lying, or that person, there was something about that person that I don't trust, even though they said the right thing and said it in the right way. So there's that thing that we don't know about, that that hidden communication, that X factor that we can't really put our finger on, that and I call it sparkly bits. What is it about that person that either sparkles or doesn't when it comes to their communication? So that's a very long pre-frame to this particular story. Again, I was a personal exercise coach. I was talking to a client for the first time, and she said something about somebody in her family having a disease. And I was not listening to what she said because I was thinking about the next question that I was going to ask. And I'm sure we've all been guilty of that, where we haven't listened carefully. We thought we heard what we heard, and then we made comment afterwards. So she told me that something terrible had happened in her family. And I said, oh, that's awesome. Is there a more awkward thing to say? What I do want to share with you, though, is that, A, the woman was beautiful and very forgiving. And I, of course, apologised straight away because I realised as it came out of my mouth that I might not have heard what she said. But what I'm sharing with you is this. Because my intentions were good. So more than half of our communication is our sparkly bits. It's got nothing to do with what we say or how we say it. It's got everything to do with who we really are. So the percentages are interesting. It's around about 5% is words, about 35-40% is communication from our face, from our body language and from our voice intonation. But the rest of it is who we really are. And that's what this beautiful woman said to me. She said, Rowie, I know that you didn't mean that because I know that you're a nice person, and that was just and I'm so sorry I said that. And she said, I completely get what you meant. It's all right. Now, I said the wrong words, and I probably said them in the wrong way, but she got it because most of your communication comes from who you really are. So if you want to be a superb communicator, obviously be a beautiful person, be genuinely interested in other people. Could it be a great idea to learn all the different communication styles? And could it be a great idea to ask questions rather than to tell people? And could that be helpful so that you can sing like I do every day? Super duper doo, how are you? Loving my life and learning stuff every single day. Woohoo!